Introduction to the 3-minute medic rule set. As with other popular respawn rule sets, you may not shoot at or attempt to eliminate anyone whom you encounter while you are in a wounded condition. You may not communicate with unwounded healthy players or use radios other than to announce that you are wounded, to request to be healed by a medic, or to ask for directions to the nearest friendly medic or respawn flag. However, you may speak to other wounded players about anything as long as it is spoken quietly enough to where no healthy players will overhear the conversation. Also, you may choose to remain completely silent or play the role of an injured person crying in agony. This rule set involves players to be wounded and then healed. No one is to be considered permanently dead, even if he or she is hit again while in the wounded condition. For the purpose of this tutorial, players who are not wounded are referred to as healthy. So here's how it all works. If you, your gun, anything you're holding, or anything worn on your body are struck by a BB, a boffer, or a stealth hit, such as a knife kill, then you are immediately considered to be wounded. By the way, a boffer is a gently wielded foam weapon that might be available during certain events. After being hit, you are immediately expected to call out, "Hit, hit, hit," as you pull out and wave your red rag a couple times and then place it on your head. You want your attacker to know that he or she hit you so that you will no longer be targeted for more hits. Close range hits do not require such loud acknowledgments, and stealth hits are to be acknowledged silently by simply donning the red rag without saying hit or anything else. After putting on your red rag, you must immediately exit any human-made structures that you are in, such as buildings, bunkers, walled bases, hangars, pillboxes, foxholes, unnatural trenches, vehicles, etc. After exiting these structures, you are to immediately fall to the ground to begin the shell shock phase of your wound. You must already have a timepiece that shows seconds, such as a decent wristwatch, smartphone, or kitchen timer. The time is to start as soon as you are seated or squatted on the ground outside of structures with your red rag on. You are to remain in this position for 3 full minutes, which is 180 seconds. This time must be counted electronically and not in your head. If anyone attempts to heal you during the shell shock phase, please kindly remind them that it is against the rules. Use this time to secure your red rag under your eyewear strap and leave a piece of it visible in front of your eyes so that you will always know that you still have it. If the firefight continues to where projectiles are still hitting you or coming too close, you may crawl out of the line of fire, but don't stand up until your 3 minutes have completed. Additional hits that you receive while wounded do not count and do not affect your time in any way. Red rag players should never be targeted for additional hits. Instead, enemies of red rag players should ignore them and stay focused on completing their mission objectives. At the completion of the 3-minute shell shock phase, you are now in the walking wounded phase. You have emerged from your state of shock and will want to be healed back in as soon as possible. You may now stand up and start walking toward a friendly medic. You may call out for a medic as loudly as you like, but other speech is still restricted. Medics will be easy to identify because they will be wearing visible markers such as armbands. Medics will be limited in number to a ratio of about 1 for every 5 to 10 regular players. Avoid walking near enemies or their control points during the walking wounded phase because you don't want to be accused of cheating by performing reconnaissance as a wounded player. Again, hits that you receive while in the walking wounded phase do not count and do not delay your healing in any way. In order to be healed back into the game, you must physically meet up with a healthy medic in a location that is outside of any human-made structures and far enough away from enemies so that you and the medic will not be hit while in a standing position to heal. It is the burden of you and the medic to find a safe place to heal. Healing may take place behind the cover of a natural object such as a tree or large bush. Enemies should never be expected to leave an area so that a healing can take place. Instead, enemies should start shooting at the unwounded medic if he or she gets too close. Both the medic and you must agree to perform the healing. The medic may choose not to heal you or delay healing you for any reason. Likewise, you may reject a medic's revive, as seen in popular video games. Once in a safe location, the healing process is very simple. Both of you must be outside of structures and both standing during the healing process. The unwounded medic simply removes your red rag from your head and places it in your hand. At the instant the medic takes his or her hand off of the red rag, you are back in the game as a player with full health. You are now vulnerable to being hit again, which will start the wounded process all over from the beginning. There is no limit to how many times you can be wounded and healed during an event. Medics are to follow the exact same hit calling, wounded, and healing rules as any other player. However, a medic may be healed back into the game by any other player instead of just another medic. So regular players may be healed only by medics, but medics may be healed by anyone. Some events will have permanent respawn flags that allow players of the same faction to heal themselves after walking to and touching the clearly marked flagpole. Of course, you must be in the walking wounded phase before performing this action. If you are in doubt about whether you can heal yourself at a flag, please ask a field moderator. Players who are touching a friendly respawn flagpole are considered to be invincible and are therefore not required to call their hits as long as they maintain touching contact with the pole. This means enemies should stay far away from their opponent's respawn flags, and event organizers should never locate mission objectives in the same place as respawn flags. It's important for you and your squad to play aggressively and stay focused on your intended objectives, rather than uselessly trying to guard the bodies of shell-shocked enemies. Given that your enemies can be healed back in and rejoin the battle, it's imperative that you continuously push and advance, because turtling down to wait for them to redcon is pointless, since there is no redconning allowed with this rule set. Remember to always be sure. Safety, honor, understand rules. Are you sure?